fans and friends. Welcome again to the Jadu Lifestyle Podcast. Once again, we're talking about things that we could do to help us as we go through this drama that we're going through with the COVID-19 and having to stay home and lockdown and things like that. Today, we brought back one of our guests that we had last month. We brought back Donna Satiro. She is our hypnotherapist, and what we're going to talk to her, we're going to interview her again, but today we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the things she's recommending for us to be able to do to keep our mental health. And basically, that's the topic of our this month's podcast, getting our mental health together. So, Donna, welcome again.
Well, thank you, Tati. I'm thrilled to be here. Thank you.
It's good to have you back again. And now we're going to put you on the hot seat.
Uh-oh. Go ahead. Please.
So I hope you're ready. So basically, how have you been since we last talked?
I'm good. I have practices that I utilize that help keep me centered and present. So those are helpful.
And how are you keeping personally with this? Well, now we are into coming out a little bit more. Are you happy? Are you not happy that we are able to open up a little bit? Have you been cooped up?
Well, yes, because what I do is more hands-on, and I don't prefer to do the virtual meetings. I don't think they're as effective, but still useful. I have done a few phone calls, but mostly I'm hands-on, so it's kind of really shut me down. I am able to do the groups that I do virtual, and that's been helpful. I just focus on staying busy and trying to keep up with everything, as far as I can. I try to absorb all the data that's available for me to review. And as I review it, I look for similarities, things that I hear a lot. I look to see, other people's opinions and try to make a rational decision on how I feel about things. And I have plenty of yard work that keeps me occupied on the side, so it's not been all that bad for me.
Okay. This month, when I began my first podcast, I talked a little bit about two things. One is putting your events on your schedule, whether or not you have to go back out to work. In my case, I'm not allowed to go back out to work yet. They haven't given us permission, but as we know today, the nail techs and the barbershops are allowed to go, hairdressers, and they're allowed to go out. So, and the other thing we talked about is menu planning. Like, a lot of people have posted that they made new dishes, they were cooking more, things like that. Do you have any suggestions for people that they can literally help get through easier this next phase of our staying in?
Well, I always practice meditation. I find that very helpful. If people have a difficult time with that, there are some meditations online, YouTube, that people can utilize. They can kind of go through. There's a variety of different kinds that people can check out. Find something that fits with them. Making a routine, creating an intention, what they would like to achieve. Focus on what your passion is, not so much focusing on the negative of things, because as you know, what you focus on, you create more of. So, and that's hard to do for some, when things are right in your face. It's hard to focus otherwise, but look for, as Mr. Rogers would say, look for the good. Look for the good people. Look for the benefits. I don't believe things had needed to be locked down. I think that was kind of an overstretch, although there were great benefits, not only to us on some levels, not for everybody, but there were certainly some good things. I mean, the earth was able to catch her breath. People were able to, I noticed more families outside with their kids in the evenings in their yards playing, which was something I never really saw much of prior to that. As I said, not all good. There's a lot of families that are have dysfunction, and this situation made it extremely worse. It is what it is. Wishing it was something other than what it is not useful. But practicing on focusing on things that you would like to see or how you would like to see things go appreciatively will help rebuild those neural pathways in our minds. And we would start to, the more we observe those, the more of that we'll be bringing to us. So that would be my biggest recommendation. Even practicing mantras, some mantras, the mantra has to fit you. You can't say or utilize a mantra that doesn't resonate with your heart. It's as though you can't lie to yourself if you have a core belief, even if it's not true, if the mind doesn't believe it. Saying a mantra, for example, the girl that doesn't think she's pretty, and for some prior causes that caused her to feel that way, it's become a deep-seated belief on some level in her mind. She gets in front of the mirror every morning and says, "I'm beautiful," but there's this deep inside feeling going, or voice inside her head goes, "Oh no, you're not," and then she tends to feel even worse. That's the brew for depression, trying to do something that's not within reach. So if, let's say, there's people having lunch, and some guy comes running into the cafeteria and says, someone just robbed my wife, and there's two cops sitting there, and they jump up and they said, "Well, where?" And they're there to save the day, and the guy says, "Well, in France, and you're in Florida, it has no possibilities." So the first question is to ask yourself, what possibility? Is it is it something that can be done? And taking small steps. It has to be something that resonates. So the girl might get up and say, "Well, I'm still young, I'm still growing. I may not think that I'm beautiful, but some other people think that I'm beautiful." That would be more beneficial for her to say than to try to say, "I'm a pretty pink balloon," because that would never happen. Does that make sense?
Yes. Well, having said that, what I want to ask you is that if you were able to see anybody, and I'm pretty sure people might have called you because this time was so stressful for them, what was some of the biggest challenges that people saw with you? They called you.
A lot of it was most people are moving in towards the realm of anger and fear. The fear is, what if I lose my job? What if I can't pay the bills next month? What if? And then from that, anger, because when fear is not addressed and it becomes hurtful, it becomes anger. And when anger is not addressed, then that becomes rage. And so that's not a point that anybody really wants to get to. You could be angry, but anger really serves no purpose. Anger actually has been proven to, they have proven that when someone is in the state of anger, that their rational thinking, logical thinking mind actually shuts down. Emotional mind is taken over. It actually makes you dumber, for the lack of words, than you normally would. Being fully present and clear taking in information and evaluating would, or being strategic would be beneficial instead of anger. So
Okay.
usually when I'm working with someone who's fearful or angry, I want to see them present, clear,
Yeah.
strategic, and
Oh,
rationalizing.
one of the statistics, well, two, that came out between with this stay-at-home thing was that domestic violence as well as child abuse, the statistics, the numbers went up. Um, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I have no doubts, and I had no doubts prior to the lockdown that that was going to be an issue. There are a lot of kids that, for them, going to school was their getaway. Other people in the community, teachers, etc., they're not able to, evaluate the child's situation when the child's not present at school. I mean, if someone shows up with bruises, then the teacher knows, oh my gosh, there's some bruises going on here. It's something I need to watch. So kids are being kept home with parents that are struggling on top of their regular struggles. The other thing that made no sense to me is that liquor stores were open, and I would think that if someone wanted to get something to drink, they could go to Walmart and get a beer. I don't think hard alcohol was a necessity, especially when you're putting families in such a strenuous situation. So, yeah, I think a lot of that has arisen. I think suicides have gone up, although, as I said, we're not hearing about those. So that's I'm sure we will hear about those, but at this time, I don't think we're hearing um, the fullness of all that.
That was kind. The child abuse, especially, was kind of, well, eye-opening for me. Is the word I'm looking for, because I didn't think that um, that was something that we needed to. I think I have this idea that you see parents with their kids and they're loving on them and hugging them and stuff like that. So that doesn't happen. So it was kind of eye opening for me to know that something like that is going on. That kids are safer at school than they are at home.
Yes, th- that's always been an actuality. That's always been. But I think that and then you have the summer. And kids would struggle through the summer. This is going to be a long summer for a lot of kids, and so the best thing I would recommend is there are people in neighborhoods, and they know these families that struggle, and I am not condemning their parents by no means. Parents, being a parent, having 4 kids myself, is a challenge. When you're hit with a loss of a job or unemployment, having to struggle, and then the kids are home and having to teach them, and on top of an already dysfunctional family, that how could that not put stress on those families? I think that if anybody knows families like that, to reach out, and offer. They may not be polite. They might have an attitude like, get out of my face, kind of thing. That would be a normal response, but, um, at least they know that uh, that, that